We are going to start another question and answer session. As usual, we'll start with the written questions. We'll invite Vincent to present written questions, please, to start the session.
Namaste, Swami Maha. Today we have 25 questions. We are getting richer by the day. And I will start with the practice questions, of which there are about 11. Dear Bhante, sometimes during sitting meditation I drift into a dream-like state. I also feel my body jerks as if I am about to fall asleep. However, it doesn't feel like I am sleeping, as I am a bit aware of what's happening. But what is this mind state, if it is not sleep? Thank you.
So this is kind of a half sleep, half dreaming kind of a situation. According to the jargon in the meditation, it's called Rupa Sanya, the perception of matter. The matter can reduce into the perception. And if I am correct, the Chinese sage called Lao Tzu, how do you pronounce Lao Tzu? Yeah. One day he dreamt a butterfly. It was so lucid. He was completely living in the butterfly's life. And after waking up, he wrote, now I am not sure whether butterfly is dreaming a man or man dreaming a butterfly. We don't know whether we are living in a dream world. So whenever you go to meditation, sometimes you feel everything is like a dream. And definitely you know you are not in a sleep. But things are happening. So there you find this world is like a mirage. It's like a dream. It's like a hallucination. And beyond that, go further, it's still completely unknown world. And you can go from the known place to this unknown. Slowly everything is dissolving. Everything is becoming like an energy without manifesting to a living and non-living, good and the bad, correct and the wrong, within dissolving. So before complete dissolving, these are the places where boundaries are becoming weaker, and there our language completely lose its grip. Grammar become nonsense, and things come and go, just like in a dream. So that is the point where you can understand. If you know the historical, chronological way from this solid matter reduce into the dissolving or evaporating kind of thing, and without hesitation you can still further go. So day by day you will be going, and whenever you come back to the so-called realistic world, the other world we call conceptual world. The margin between the concept and reality is not a solid one. It's always very rectified and very volatile. So, meditation-wise, in the Pottapada Sutta, specifically the Chulasunyata Sutta, Buddha explained this is the matter dissolved into the perception of matter. Rupa going to become Rupa Sanya. So it's a kind of one healthy episode in progress in mindfulness.
The next one. Reverend Bhante, when sitting meditation, I find it difficult to sit for 1 hour without moving. But recently when I am in deep concentration, I found myself glued together so that I could stay the whole hour without moving any limb. I only keep my head up now and then. When I am glued like this, I see bright lights in various colors and also some clouds like floating in different colors. My question is whether to stay like this or open my eyes and forget about this. If I do so, I get a lot of pain and I have to stretch my legs. Please advise me what I should do. This happened about 2 to 3 times. Thank you, with metta.
So right from the beginning, make a determination not to do any willful thing. any volitional thing, any conscious thing, let the mindfulness to take up the helm, or let the whole wave to run by itself without putting conscious decisions. And there you can see mindfulness really know how to lead meditation. But our mind or consciousness become cornered like, outcasted like. It feel like doing something, but what the consciousness can do is make a turmoil, make a distraction to cut off the smooth development. So withdraw as much as possible. Do it before or at the beginning of your sitting. I will let the mindfulness to run the show without walking my fingers, without take conscious decisions, without volitionally get involved. Then only you can say natural development can happen. Others also, if you get consciously involved, it is not a crime. It is not a defilement, but unwanted thing, unasked for. So let the meditation or mindfulness run by itself.
Next one. Dear Bhante, I have noticed that fear is constantly there in my thoughts. How can I eradicate it?
The fear is another name for defilements. To hold the defilements put together, and you can put the label fear. Whole this world full of knowledge because of fear. If anyone is contented here and now, why should we have knowledge? Because we are fearful. So the fear, you can say, another name for worldly knowledge. Worldly knowledge is coming out of fear. So don't put it away. See how much we are fearful, how much we are defensive about the thing. Because we are not fully anchored in the present moment. So understand the fear, it's no harm. And understanding here and now, when it is red-handed under your very nose, is a knowledge. Even the understanding the fear in this very moment is a knowledge. So therefore, in time to come, it will help release your fear, help release your defilements, help release your tension and the frustration. So understanding this the fear in each and every thought moment is diagnostically, it's a very important discovery, and you can explain everyone's life, everyone's behavior through fear. Everyone is behaving like that due to the fear. The Buddha says, I can't see any thing like this animal kingdom. The animals are adapting to the circumstances because of the fear. They adapt to the environment in order to hide themselves from the bigger animals. So animal kingdom is multivarious because of fear. So therefore, understand we are agitated, we are carried away, we are moving because of fear. So therefore, be mindful and be aware of the fear. It's a great self-discovery.
The next question. Dear Bhante, at night sometimes I have trouble sleeping because I can hear the sound of snoring. How should I maintain a sense of mindfulness during the night when I am trying to sleep? Thank you.
So my teacher, Upandita Sayadaw, he told that when he was meditating, he has meditated only 2 weeks. And meditating, there's a lot of building construction throughout the day. The center is really coming. And so very difficult to keep the attention because the sound distraction. And the night, they have to sleep 3 people together. So other roommate is snoring. So morning and evening he has the sounds. So he was so upset. And he was distracted like. And so ultimately he developed kind of a hatred because the daytime people are nailing and hammering and all the sounds, and nighttime snoring. And his teacher one day mentioned, mind your own business, don't complain outside, just be mindful that I am listening, I am hearing like, and give your body complete resting posture and let sounds happen. And sometimes you may train yourself. If there is no other alternative ways, so wherever we go, we select our own distractions. One particular thing is, it is a personality trait. So, if possible, by physical changes you can do it, you may try, but wherever you go, there's a distraction. Distraction, what is the thing you select as your distraction, indicate who you are. And as far as you are not snoring, no problem. The other people snoring, it is just a matter of sound. And try to put up with that. And whenever snoring, listening, then and there, it's a sign of mindfulness. But see, as we try to discuss in the talk, whether there is an aversion, there is a hatred towards the snoring. Then not the sound disturbing you, your aversion, your hatred is there. So see that, look into that, and see when you are daytime, in the day-to-day, when you are talking, how much people would have get irritated. So you are not concerned about that. So if you are understanding the sound of snoring is going to create irritation, exactly how much sound I am emitting within a day. And can I reduce or live more silently or listen to my own sounds? So then, with respect to this distracting sound, you also can make discipline, not in the night but in the daytime also. Likewise, make it a point to be more restrained and see your own aversion. And the day you see the aversion, the sound will give snoring sound will give a different message.
The next question. Bhante, in walking meditation, my mind is constantly active, from mentally having conversations and arguments with others, to non-stop thinking about various choices in life, to old karma replaying over and over like a bad movie.
Please repeat that sentence.
Yeah, in walking meditation, my mind is...
No, the last sentence.
Last sentence. The whole one sentence. To non-stop, I will read the whole sentence. In walking meditation, my mind is constantly active, from mentally having conversations and arguments with others, to non-stop thinking about various choices in life, to old karma replaying over and over like a bad movie. Not a moment of peace and quiet, but just distractions that often disturb me. How do I stop this, Bhante?
So the sentence that we repeatedly listen, it says that all karmic forces appear like wrath out or coming out and endless. That is why you become desperate. But if you know each time it come out, the all karmic forces become weaker and weaker. And so best thing is to let them out. It is called catharsis. When it is coming out, the internal store is becoming weaker and weaker. So just let them happen, if possible, without a reaction. Without aversion, it's the best time to pay off your past debts. You feel like it's endless. It is never endless. The more you let it out, more you become purified. That is the idea of free association, counseling, to let it go out. So Pandita Sayadaw used to say, it may be due to the past karma, so therefore it appears like a bad film. But if you become avert or hateful, that will give a new karmic forces. Don't do it. When it's happened, don't react. That is our restraint. Knowing it may be a old karma, but don't run to a quick decision, quick inference telling it is endless. It is not. More and more you go there, the karmic force becomes less and less. So without accumulating new karma, letting it happen, it's a kind of a payoff of your last death life. So do as much as possible walking meditation. Don't hate this thinking. Just accept it, because it is not something you do. It is something happening. Anything happens to you is not leading to new karma. Anything you consciously do, something like hating it or reacting to it, then only you are initiating a new karma. So therefore let it happen, but without hating it or without welcoming it. See as if it is happening someone else, and you will feel the release if you have that kind of an attitude. And therefore unless you do walking meditation, this inner wrath, the pent-up energy won't get a chance to come out. In walking meditation, you let it go. Of course, it is somewhat irritating, but don't react it. More you let it out, that is the way you get healed, and that is the way you become a therapeutic, you become a counselor. Let other person talk and listen without giving you a judgment. And by talking, the other person get healed. That is what we call the free association, free association and counseling. So this is counseling happening with mindfulness without the counselor. You get healed. It takes time for you to understand how much you get healed with time.
Good afternoon, Bhante. Sitting meditation. As we sit, I notice that my posture hangs and becomes slump. Is this a sign of progress?
Sign of?
Progress. Walking. As we walk, I do notice that it is more interesting to walk outside in the yard. It is because the yard is uneven and occasionally I feel the grass beneath. For a beginner, is it in the right direction to notice various stimulants, or is it a form of craving? Thank you.
That if the stimulant is immediately verifying you, it is happening here, now, it is to I am, it's a progress. If you are daydreaming, fantasizing and mind-made, this is a sign of craving or something like that. So therefore, stimulation or touch or feeling on the thing what you all are doing is a sign of mindfulness. And when you are sitting, and sometimes whenever the mind is absorbed to the primary object, the posture can become slack. And you can see when a child is sleeping, a body becomes slack. It can't maintain the posture like this happen, but it is not a good thing. Later, you will understand you are mindful and object is face to face and you can feel the slack body, and there you can slowly, without disturbing the mindfulness and the concentration, you can assume the starting posture just to keep the body erect, not reacting quickly doing, that slowly it happen. Pandita Sayadaw says, by knowing that you are slack, naturally mind is readjusting your body. So that you can do even later time, but understanding whenever mind is face to face with the object, the body becomes slack. It can happen. It is not a must. It can happen. So don't try to disturb your mindful, but if possible, just assume slowly, silently, mindfully back to the original posture, original symmetrical situation, and then you can maintain both the symmetrical position as well as mindfulness.
Dear Bhante, I have a recurring phenomena as I sit and focus on my breath. I fall into a deep mindfulness. The air becomes thicker and supports my body as if in a pool of water. The sounds around me become more distinct and as if I slowed down. There is a magnetic pull at the top of my head. The breath disappears. Now I sit in what seems like an incubator. Sounds are still heard, body is gone. What do I do here? Just be? I am not the sharpest person when it comes to theoretical knowledge, and I worry that in order to reach the final goal, full liberation, here and now, I should be using this very special incubator properly. Maybe analyzing theoretical stuff such as dependent origination. In other words, for a farmer like me, who is mostly an experiential person rather than an analytical person, can I reach the final goal with just being and observing? I am most grateful for your guidance.
As far as the consciousness is concerned, during the wakeful situation, that consciousness we call the senses-related consciousness. Either it is connected to the eye, or ear, or nose, or tongue, or body, or thinking. So always busy. Only thing is we do not know the agenda. We jumping from one to the other like a mad monkey. So from that situation, that is we call sensuous pleasure. That's we call the commonest life. And knowing that it's utter wasteful life, utter the burning the candle from both the ends, imagine you go to a silent place and try to reduce to one channel. The tactile sensation of the passive body. You close your eyes, go to a silent place, don't entertain smell and the taste, and the body also not moving, and try to keep attention with the rising and falling, or in-breath and out-breath, or touching point. So that means we cut 5 out of 6 openings and just be alert on the tactile sensation. And when that also align, consciousness is going to another deep layer, devoid of our senses. That means sounds are happening, but we are not listening. Visual objects maybe they are mental, but we are not looking at. And all the other things are there, it is not titillating us, and mind is becoming introvert, and get a certain cut off from the senses. And you are at the center of the house, as the house owner, and a lot of activities are happening. You are alert, you are in the center. So their senses naturally try to pull your attention. Eye won't get the visual object, so therefore make mental images. And the ear won't listen to the particular sound, so therefore it makes sounds, mind-made sounds. And some people feel smells. Some people sometimes feel tastes also. And body also feel light, large, wavy, all the kind of thing. And you have to understand this is the way these different organs are going to pull, get the attention of the consciousness. So you must be the household, in the center of the house, don't worry about them. It takes long time for you to season it, and when that happens, it is happening only by just being, then the consciousness starts further going to the center. And when that happens, it is not much related with the materialistic world, it is going only with the mental world, or mind-made world, and they are also go back to the center. So coming to the center, and the Buddha says, center is already enlightened. Everyone's. Pabassaramidam bhikkhave citta. But we are so worried about the peripheral. And it's very active, very dramatic, very pulling, very demanding. So when by meditating you just forget about and get introvert. And this is the kind of one episode where you are learning how to get consciousness devoid of senses. Or get divorced of the senses temporarily. Either consciousness will go inward or go back again to the senses. So let it happen. To maintain the balance, sometimes consciousness again come back to worrying about the thinking and listening and kind of thing, and again you become a normal human. Sometimes go deep in, according to circumstances, and when it go there, what happened outside, you never listen. Even a thundering rain happens, you don't know. Even if anyone calling you, anything happens, you don't know because you are cut off. Something like in deep sleep, So this is a kind of mind not expanding by going back to the source. So when you go to the center, we all are the same. Out periphery only we have the male, female, good, bad, culture, everything. At the point where we have sectarianism. We have fighting each other. I am correct, you are wrong. But when you go to the center, everyone is the same. It's called universal unconscious. But we are not conscious about that. Because we are worried about what is happening, whether dollar is assuming or dollar is falling down. Or whether the gasoline price is going up or down. So we are worrying about that rather than what is happening. So this is a kind of a center. Mind is checking whether outside atmosphere is okay to go inwardly. So you have to facilitate not to take again the consciousness outwardly, just let it be inwardly. It knows. Generally it knows the way, unless otherwise you distract it. So don't worry about the final goal, but be skillful here. Let the mindfulness to progress without pulling again back to the sensuous world.
Dear Bhante, during the retreat my mind went to some very dark places in which negative thoughts lead to self-loathing and self-destructive habits. It took me a short time to see my patterns, but I couldn't stop the mind. It's addicted to complaining, comparing, unsatisfaction. Do you have any suggestions on how to improve my technique and life?
So in the literature, it says there are 9 kinds of thinking patterns, I would say. The outermost is the hatred, desire, and the ignorance. So whenever you keep attention with the primary object is not creating desire, not creating any hatred, and not creating bewilderment. When the in-breath happens, you know in-breath. When the out-breath happens, you know out-breath. So you fairly get a distance from the grossmost 3 thinking patterns. And whenever they are not there, there are another 6 kinds, deep in sleep, and they become active. Usually they appear like good things. They appear socially good things, like compassionate to the other people, and things you have done past and make a determination, I will never do this again and I will be a full Samaritan person. I did the wrong eating and therefore today onward I will go for the holistic food and I will be the healthiest person on the world. Likewise, there are 6 kinds of thinkings are there. They can't take the upper hand as far as the hatred, delusion and the desire is working. Whenever they become inactive, the tiny kind of thinking is happening. So you have to understand which is the most prominent kind of thinking you have. This indicates internally who am I. So some people think I will do it in future, not to find any fault in me, and I will be completely correct person. So this is the way it happens. So usually they are not expressing by themselves because of the hatred, desire and the delusion. Whenever go there, just see what is under the carpet. When you sweep the carpet and you see there are tiny particles going down the carpet and there is a dust beneath, usually you are not associating with. So therefore let them happen and keep a note what character type and personality type I am having. So that diagnosis is very, very important, and that is the diagnosis is the medicine. Soon you diagnose, immediately the corrective measures are come into being. So therefore keep it in face to face without hating or without promoting it. Understand it happened only in the fairly advanced level of mindfulness, that is to do away with the grossmost kind of thinking, kind of argumenting. So therefore, let that happen and be aware your personality trait.
Dear Bhante, I notice that sitting and walking meditation, I have a side preference, naturally. My question is, to be mindful, should I correct this?
Side reference?
Preference.
That definitely there, unless otherwise you give a primary object. You are always with the side preference. That is what I call you are eccentric. When you give a neutral, repeatable, verifiable object, the center line, then you can see how much mind is wavering to the others. Without a center line, very difficult us to see because there is no datum. The primary object is the datum. With respect to that, you see, mind is always thinking crooked, always thinking side references, so much so, you lose common sense. Common sense is the most uncommon thing. People are worried about the serious things and the very, very tiny little particles, but they have no common sense. Whenever you be to the mindful and be with the primary object, it appears like boring, but it's a common sense because it is under your very nose. It is not a hallucination, it is not a daydreaming, it is not a concept, it's a reality. So you have to introduce a reality, you have to introduce primary object, and then only you can see how much our mind is crooked. It is not a bad thing, but understanding that very thing, often people get discouraged. That is the main thing, not to get discouraged, but make it again and again proved, verified, is this the character. That means let it happen again and again. No, you are not doing. Whenever it happens, you reconfirm, yes, my character is that. Because you now you have the datum line. If it is fed up with, come back to the datum line. Otherwise, verify what is the natural tendency of the untrained mind.
Dear Bhante, please advise, do we expect to see bright light or some colors when we locate the touching point, when we do the sitting meditation? When I locate my touching point, where it is under the nose and above the lip, I do not see anything.
Good. So if someone is telling that is to see light or someone to say that there are any colors, that means you are still in sensuous pleasure. So whenever you go to the primary, it may be or may not be. They are byproducts of the meditation, but don't have premeditative ideas, preconceived ideas. If you do not see anything, then still if you know you are mindful and with the primary object, much better.
Dear Bhante, thank you for answering our questions. 1. What are the side effects of mindfulness? 2. Is there any scientific evidence that mindfulness affects our bodies at the cellular level? With all my respects, thank you.
So we, in the last conference, we see the Buddhism and science and how the mindfulness can bridge them. And there was one lecture by another monk of the side effects of mindfulness, or bad side of the mindfulness. So, not Dhamma sati, but Miccha sati. And it is well recognized in the canonical way. And when I was in Nilambe, Godwin used to say that he was a lay teacher, when the cat is behind a rat, you can see how slowly, mindfully and silently it is reaching the rat. So it's a mindful. So mindful, better than you. And he says, when a girl in the bank, when counting so much of money, one after the other, without looking here and there and kind of thing, and you can say how mindful they are. But that mindfulness is not to get Nibbana. The cat is behind the rat, you know very well. And that kind of alignment is a good example to show, and the purpose is different. So that is one. And other one is that The effect of mindfulness in the corporeal and bodily weight says when you are become mindful, the mitochondria and the cap of the RNA DNA, which is responsible for senility, is reducing. And hippocampus, which is more responsible for the emotional reaction, getting reduced. And your prefrontal area where the civilization and rational thinking is increasing. Earlier, in 1984, I think, they published an article in Canadian Buddhist Broadcasting Corporation, did an experiment to see, to have a sizable or have a measurable difference, how much you must meditate. And they safely arrive at a decision, 3 months continuous retreat can change your personality, because so much of changes are going to take place. But most of the scientists are from USA. They told, according to the USA timetable, allocating 3 months is very difficult. And then they wanted to reduce. They reduced into 3 10-day retreats with the full facilities, with the good master and sound of silence, without silence, without distraction and everything. And they found very difficult to even allocate 3 retreat 10 days. And they reduce, and now they have developed even 1 hour meditation, how much brain changes are happening. Not only the nerve cells, each and every cell, you can see the senility stops. You not become directly rejuvenated, but your senility stops. So therefore it has now gone into the cellular level. And they are doing experiment, Michael Richard, it's a French person ordained under his ordained Dalai Lama. Matthew. And he had a micro-retreat inside the functional MRI scan. 1 minute reflecting of the virtues of the Buddha. 1 minute with loving kindness. 1 minute with free thinking or free mind. And vipassana. And mindfulness like 6 minutes changing one to the other. And the people at the monitor, control room, can see the brain changes from one meditation to the other. And when it go to a certain extent, they start precipitating into cell level. So therefore it is now come to, but some other masters are really challenging it. They say the scientists take brain as the mind, but it is nonsense. Brain is a physical part, mind is something different. So therefore this is not measurable, that is something one can suggest, but not always to be seconded. But anyway, it is a language for the present generation to pass the message. The only thing you can sure without a functional MRI scan and the big laboratory, when meditating, how much you release the tension and the frustration. So in mindful school, we give the message to the children. We give few minutes of video clip telling how to do walking meditation. And they very easily they grasp. And we demonstrate them 10 minutes. And ask them to come and sit like you and show a video film for 4 to 5 minutes how to sit. 10 minutes. And after that we ask their feedback. Many children, they are saying, completely, I lost my tension. I'm really relaxed. So, one of the headmasters in Sri Lanka, he did with the grade 5 children. He did the same thing. And he wanted to do same thing with the child with 5 years old. He also writing the same. I feel relaxed. No tension. Then he asked me, Bhante, what kind of tension that these children having to lose? But they are children. We think that children are with much tension. So how can you? Then I told you, principals, find tension out of that also. Because that is our elder life, but they feel relaxed. But soon after I read an article telling, even the children, they have their own mental defilements. Example given is, when the first child in the family going to get the full love of the mother and father, and when the second child to appear, first child hates the second child. Because the attention goes to the second child. So they have their own tension. And in meditation, in walking and sitting, they get a relaxation. That relaxation, when precipitate, you feel it in a cell level, cellular level. And one of the such a facilitators, they went to a Muslim school. And they are with their Muslim attire, and lucky enough that principal invited us, otherwise we can't go there, and grade 11 girls. And when they are meditating, they did walking meditation in the playground, and one girl has written, I never expect so much of release of my tension. Within 15 minutes, I was so relaxed. So when I am walking under the sun, I can feel the sunlight on the upper part of my foot and the coolness in the lower part of my foot, so much sensitive. So I feel like walking. So you have to give that free of charge and without any chemical, without any operation, without any pill. Such a release is free. And the Richard Davidson is asking, being it is so free, being it is so without anyone's authority, see the amount of percentage of population even think about mindfulness. He says, I can't think, I can't imagine, being it is so free, no one consider it as a lasting answer or substantial answer. So he says that is, don't worry, share with others as much as possible. Anyone who is mature enough will accept it. So experiment and other kind of thing will help in convincing, but it is a proven thing for 2,600 years. So while doing, after a long time only you perceive it yourself to a verifiable level. So faith is very important at the beginning till you gain your own verifiable results.
Next one. On this retreat, I heard that mindfulness has a corrective or guiding function. For example, just by being aware or mindful, one may figure out what to do, or one's mistakes will automatically be corrected. After all, how can one correct something if someone is not even aware of it? But on another retreat, I learned that the wisdom or understanding faculty has the corrective or guiding function, whereas mindfulness simply has a monitoring function. That is, wisdom says what to do, mindfulness keeps the mind focused on dangers. Mindfulness alone doesn't seem to be able to tell us what to do. That
is, Upanishad had to put it in this way. Mindfulness and the clear comprehension, sati and sampajanya, they are working together. Mindfulness make the ground clear so that wisdom to come and work. For example, when a country is in a war, very difficult to expect economic development because everything is spent on the war. So therefore they have to think about the war and achieve the peace. Once the peace achieved, the economic development is naturally can happen. So once the peace assured, the economic development can happen. Likewise, once the mindfulness come and make the ground clearing work, and then the wisdom can happen. The coming of the wisdom is none of your business. It is a default. And Sayadaw give another example. Imagine the king is living in a big palace and he is about to go out. Those security people measuring everything and give the last minute security, and the auspicious time is announced, but the king never come out till the security people come and say, it's a time up. So they are waiting. And when the security come, king is going in the kingly way forward. So likewise, the king has to listen to the security. Otherwise, yes, king will be in trouble if the security is not given okay. So therefore you have to understand, the mindfulness as mentioned is a monitoring, and let the wisdom to come in a kingly way, and wisdom will come. And we being human, we are endowed with, we are with full potential, full possibility, but our mind is bewildered, no peace, no mindful. When the mindfulness happens, your all qualities, your abilities will come out, and you won't believe how much abilities individual of us having. We are not only one specialized in the musician or artist or mathematician. We are everything. We are omniscient. But we are not allowing it to happen because we don't give the fair land, fair ground for the wisdom to arise. So therefore, whenever you let mindfulness run the show, we take the helm, the wisdom will come. It says, wisdom is called the Akash library. You get the membership to the library. Everything is there. Akash library. So if you are not opening it, you will be a one specialized. And when you become specialized on one thing, you are dumped down to the rest. So therefore it called, whenever you get basic BS, it called bullshit. When you become MS, it's more shit. When you become PhD, pile deep and high, or called permanent head damage. You know nothing. You know everything about nothing, and nothing about the common sense. So when you are meditating, you are opening everything. So even uneducated person, wherever may be, we are come to the same stage. So mindfulness will give the fair chance. Then wisdom can come.
Why would the royal be afraid and need security all the time?
Curious of what?
You said the royal waits until the security says to go outside, but why would they need that all the time?
Because there was one Sri Lankan event. On the May Day, President went and asked, don't get down to the street, you better be in the bulletproof car. He went down and someone came and put a time bomb. Finished. So he has to listen to the security. Security is under his control, but he has to listen to the security. Otherwise you are vulnerable. Even you are the king. The security only knows that situation. Likewise, mindfulness says, when the wisdom to come, and whenever the mindfulness make the ground clearance, wisdom appear. And it is in you, it's a birthright. Each and every human having this wisdom. Unless otherwise you misled it. So therefore, the Sati Sampajanya is like king. It never come unless the situation is not secure enough. And it is waiting for the mindfulness to happen. When the mindfulness establishes the peace, it will happen. So whenever we are mindful, the Buddha happen to come. Buddha is here. If we are not mindful, you have to pay respect to the statue. Otherwise, Buddha is within the mindfulness.
Mindfulness seems to be spoken of as a cure-all, cure for all, or solution to all problems. I tend to think of the Dhamma as a whole in this way. Does mindfulness alone have any special properties that makes it more important or preliminary than other qualities of mind explained in the Dhamma?
So the theoretical way of answering is, at the great demise of the Buddha, his last sentence was, Appamadena bhikkhave sampadeta by Dhamma thankara. O monks, diligently fulfill it, all the conditional thing will pass away. So this diligence is almost considered as the mindfulness. So mindfulness gives the access to Dhamma, and then Dhamma is working. Mindfulness is the doorway. Mindfulness is the access to Dhamma. So therefore, as a beginner, you take care about the mindfulness, and mindfulness definitely leads you to the balance, middle part, to the Dhamma, and then Dhamma is going to flourish. So without mindfulness, the access tool, even the Dhamma is available, you don't know how to put into practice, pragmatic part. So mindfulness is opening the doorway, opening doorway.
You may have answered this question anyway. I know that we are discussing mindfulness because this is a Vipassana or mindfulness retreat. However, in American pop culture, Buddhism seems to be boiled down to only mindfulness. Mindfulness, meditation and mindfulness meditation. When reading the Pali Canon, one gets a sense that Dhamma is very broad, deep and comprehensive, of which mindfulness and meditation are only two factors. I obviously think these are both important, but I am confused about why other factors are also not openly discussed and only referred to in a general way. Why are other factors of the Dhamma not given the due attention in American Buddhism?
There can be happen that I am not much representing and much thorough about the American Buddhism. We in Sri Lanka, we call it is business Buddhism, not American Buddhism, always behind money. So they try to make a commodity out of that, and supply and demand theory. But whenever things happening in the volunteering base and the mindful way, no one is upper than the other, everyone in the same ground. So mindfulness is the access. And once you go into the palace, so much of things. The Burmese shadow used to say, last time we went also to the museum, New York Museum. And to get into that, we have to have someone to guide us to the museum. Otherwise, we don't know. Once you go inside, the whole world is there. And if you look at one cupboard, it is talking about the whole civilization of the Mayan civilization, this civilization, so you can get absorbed into. But to go into the museum, you must have a doorway and someone has to guide. So it is, mindfulness is leading, endless. I have been now about 30 years and so much exposure to the world, not ending. Still I feel like a beginner. So therefore the mindfulness is a part and parcel of Dhamma. Dhamma is the omniscient kind of a thing. Without access in the proper way, the Buddha says you can't get into the river by all the banks. There are safety banks, and from that only you go to the river. And even any water body, everywhere is not a access ground. So Buddha is come to and say the most safest point to get into the water. So mindfulness is that.
Thank you for guiding this retreat. If we accept that we cannot escape suffering, that existence is suffering, and we must tolerate or absorb it, why is samsara preferring death over life, a futile strategy?
Death over?
Life.
No, samsara means the death and life. It is we call samsaric journey. So even whether you like it or not, there are some episodes. Each and every breath is a death. After the death only you start the next breath. It is called momentary death. And there's a conventional death. We are passing away from this body. So likewise many deaths. So if you are considering about the death, you are very alert. You are very vigilant. You are very diligent. And you are less towards doing mistakes and defilements. So be aware of the constant death, momentary death. And being aware, you can see how your knowledge, how your memory, how your perception pass from end of the out-breath to the beginning of the in-breath. Is it carrying the same person? Or can you be a new person to the oncoming new breath? Or otherwise, when you sleep tonight, are you the same person waking up tomorrow morning? Is it the same memory, same values? Or is there any chance, insignificant maybe, to reshuffle it, change it? So therefore, each and every time of death is a chance for reshuffling to get a new opportunity. So my teacher passed away at the age of 92, and I feel some missing like, because I was so immediate with. And next day morning, he passed away at the evening, 8 o'clock or so. Next day morning, when I am reporting to yet another senior monk, I feel there's a lump in my throat. And instead the other person told, don't worry, he would have got a new brand car now. He was in a very old one. So if you wish to have a new brand car, so do away with this old bloody body and you will get a new body in the next life. He said, a new model. So don't worry. So you have to maintain it is so much of repairs, and I have my artificial teeth and specs and all the kind of thing. When you have the next life, a new one. So it is a death, yes, but a renewal, and they are very close. End of the in-breath, end of the out-breath, and the beginning of the new in-breath. The sleeping this night and getting up in the next morning, and if you observe it, there are a lot of chances to change from one to the other, and that's like passing the baton in the relay race. So samsara is that. So don't just accept it as such. See the split, see the weak points where you can pass through and go beyond this journey and look at it from the outside. For that only we call liberation. So mindfulness is giving you chance. It is not a blank wall. There are a lot of access points. There are a lot of way outs. So you feel new air whenever you become mindful. So understanding death is very, very important in this understanding of Dhamma.
I read that Buddhism teaches the non-doing of bad, harmful deeds, but also of the doing of good, beneficial deeds, whether physical, verbal or mental. So, why is it important to do nothing or complete non-doing in mindful meditation? Why not do good deeds as well during mindful? Why not do good deeds as well during mindfulness, such as developing kindness, compassion, etc.?
Yeah, you can definitely. You have to do it. And whenever you are sitting and meditating, you are not killing anyone, not stealing anything, no sexual misconduct, no verbal misdeeds. Imagine if you are not sitting at that moment, how much of activities you are doing and how much it is disturbing others, sound pollution and all the kind of thing. So therefore you have to come to a datum line and understand we have the ability not to do what you should not do. So there is a possibility. Then only you can understand with the healthy mind what is good and bad. If you are very activated and when you are with the motivated and agitated, what you select and think as good may be bad for the other people. So therefore, first and foremost, not the whole day, take few minutes, try to come to the datum line without good or bad and see, there you may understand the moral shame and the moral fear, healthy shame and the healthy fear. Otherwise you may be activated, but you don't know. So therefore first, before start the classroom, we usually wipe out the blackboard for the new teacher to come and start the new lesson. If you are going to write upon the same thing on the old blackboard or whiteboard, very difficult to make out things. So therefore mindfulness is clearing the ground and give chances for good to understand as good and bad to understand as bad. So therefore mindfulness is not blocking. So for striving, for the way of developing energy, Buddha says, first you do not to allow unreasoned defilements to arise. That's the first and foremost. Second one is take care about the already arisen defilements to get rid of from your stream of consciousness. Third one is let the good thing, not arisen, to happen. And the fourth thing is this establishment of the already arisen good things. So order is first take care about the defilements and do away with that. It is called restraint. And then naturally it is going to the good things. And clearing the ground is the thing. So therefore it is nothing against the compassion and the loving kindness kind of thing. but to first give equilibrium or indifference and make the ground clear, then you will be doing very efficiently about the good things.
Dear Venerable Bhante, I appreciate the amazing Dhamma talk you gave us this morning. 1. Is it correct to deduce from the talk that when we can perceive and understand more and more of beginnings and ends of the bell curve, we will be able to penetrate more and more of the non-personal nature of the Dharma that currently we see as permanent? When we only can perceive middle of the bell, please. 2. How is the choiceless awareness and watching beginning and end of phenomena relates and which one should one do first, provided one can do either one? Provided one can do either one.
Yeah, so naturally, whenever the mind is agitated, only you can see the tip of the iceberg. That's the bell-shaped curve, tip end. It's enough. And whenever the sensitivity increases, you can feel, you go to the two tapering ends, and more you go there, mindfulness becomes very sharp, and senses become very refined, and unheard sounds also you can hear. And all the subtle smells, tastes, you become aware. So otherwise you don't know, you can't perceive it. So therefore now you see the phenomena in totality as a system, and there you feel, there's so much so you are claiming that I know this and I know that. But when you are mindful only, you understand, you know maybe 30%. But if you know the balance of the 100%, your opinion will be completely different. You already arrived inference. The conclusion is completely wrong. So more you do the feasibility study, more you arrive at a lasting decision. If you do a very short feasibility study and take a decision is not lasting. So that's okay. The Burmese people says, patience leads to Nibbana. So therefore, see, okay, you know it. And see it again. The Buddha is calling it Anupassana. Look at it again and again. There you see the unseen particles in the first, second thought. Seeing, more and more you go there. And you have to critical about what you have already seen. You have to critical your own observation. That is what you call against the grain. That is what you call radical reflection. You see this, I see it. But when you see again and again from all the sides, story is different. It says that when the moon and the sun, the earth, always face the same face. When the moon is rotating, it is facing the earth. But after 40 years, scientists found moon is oscillating 5%. So when it's oscillating this time, you can see 5%. Other side, now they map 60%. And there you can understand, after long observation only they know, even though moon is going to give the same facet, there are some oscillations. Through that, you can see other parts. So that is why mindfulness is choicelessly be aware. Don't worry about what you have already seen. You are critical about already what you have seen, but again you look at it as a beginner. So the beginner's mind is the effective part to make you more rejuvenated than senility.
Dear Bhante, please explain again how materiality should be seen within and in other place. How materiality should be seen within and in other places. Is there a reference book to learn more about these 11 facets of looking at the primary object?
Yeah, in the canon there are a number of suttas. The Buddha explained, anything to claim that you have seen and known, you must know 11 facets. Pertaining to materiality, feelings, perception, volitional activities and the consciousness. So now you know, lucky enough, a certain extent. Look at it with the idea of all the 11 facets. Therefore, all the time you are looking at it as a beginner's mind. So it is, everything appear very green. If you look at from that point of view, I think even the Anatta Lakkana Sutta, the second sutta, chronologically, itself, I quoted this, yes, that day, that is one source.
You spoke of the 12 links of dependent origination earlier. With the cessation of ignorance or avidya comes the cessation of volition. Does volition include only greed, delusion and anger? Or does it include all volitions altogether, both good and bad, such as volitions based on generosity, kindness, understanding, etc.?
The volition is coming out of motivation, your will, the volitional activity. So from where that volition is, the motivation is happening. It says tanha mana ditti, and that is the desire, desire, conceit, and the self-oriented thinking. So this is the motivation. That motivation is because of your ignorance. So whenever you do motivated act, willful act, volitional act, be aware, be mindful from where that motivation arises. Whose agenda? Is it definitely for my well-being? Or am I doing the sake of doing? Or it is due to my habitual dispositions or karmic forces. So we are very busy. And look back and see where does that motivation arises, tanha mana ditti, and that is because of your ignorance. So therefore, you can see the short cycles when you are referring back to the source of motivation. And of course, you must have fair amount of theory understanding and the practice. Otherwise, you will arrive at quick decisions which are not lasting.
What are group interviews?
Group interview is this. Everyone get together and everyone listen and put the questions.
Dear Bhante, have you read and researched Lotus Sutra? Japan uses for their teaching as Buddha very powerful final sutra. Why Theravada do not add those teaching to make one teaching to new world?
Maybe that if you wish to get the Japanese economic system, there's one person in Sri Lanka, one monk, he says, I am doing my all merits and expect me in the next life I will be reborn in Japanese mother's womb. Finished. So, do whatever you have that is leading to the truth. Don't expect the other show. Other show is appear very green. But when you go there, there's one expert, Japanese, Sri Lankan expert, he says when the people wish to go to Japan, he saw 3 pictures. One thing is where the people go and commit suicide near Hiroshima. Very famous. Second thing is PhD people pushing a stainless steel bike to commute people from here to the other, because there you have to pay nothing tax. He's commuting people. And showing them the sleeping place, it is like a drawer, and you have to get into that and go there, and next day morning you have to pull it back and go there. That is the space you have to live. This is Japan, if you wish. It's one part. So there's no formula to get rid of this suffering, unless otherwise we understand it. So we have Theravada suttas, we have Mahayana, and a lot of things, and nothing is misleading. Everything is good. So therefore my teacher told, do whatever you have wholeheartedly, and once that maturity happens, you are open to anything. You don't think that what is not you are not available, is the best. Then you will be always desperate.
Dear Venerable Bhante, is there a point from which on a yogi can proceed without a teacher? Do you expect us to report if we slip in the unknown area with no boundaries? Please advise.
The first sentence, please.
Is there a point from which on a yogi can proceed without a teacher?
So whenever the meditation is going, if you have no doubt, you need no any teacher. If you have any doubt, please come back to the primary object, just to get rid of your doubt, and it's a wastage of time. So at that time, wherever you understand, you have no doubt, I know I am mindful, then you need no any teacher. And the teacher is to rectify the doubts or to tell you, please come back to the primary object and verify or rectify your doubts, develop your confidence and go. So there are points whereby beyond that you need no. And if you're having, you will be a companion rather than a teacher.
Bhante, good afternoon. Seeking silence, well, nature's silence, I retired to the forest today. I was roused by the sound of a feeding frenzy in the lake, without any words, but still breaking the container, which was already busted by a dad and kids feeding the fish. I got them to read the obvious sign and stop. Of course, being privileged white Americans, they recommenced once I was back in the woods. I could hear the fish like angry bubbling water. Noble silence and retreat aside, was I wrong to follow my natural conscience, to try to halt crass stupidity by visitors? What right did I really have? By the way, I feel no regret, no pride. Question 2. If Bhante says no, no right, not my correct place. 2. Then just how are Americans going to learn not to despoil nature for sadistic pleasure?
So this kind of question, I say that as far as I am not emitting sound pollution, that's all I can do. Then as a result, I also may get silence. So therefore don't worry about what the others doing. And then my mind will become talkative, mind become very agitated. And the other person is doing wrong thing, don't say thank you and yes, and then you are also taking a part and parcel of that. So let them do, you mind own your business and be mindful. And even others are doing wrong thing, still you can be mindful. But my friend who was meditating with me in Panditarama, he was a German, he says if someone is doing wrong, it is your duty to stop it or report it. Then I told, I am not up to that. I just try to be mindful, and whenever the possible time happen, I would do, otherwise restrain oneself. So therefore, with the help of the outside suffering, if you look at from the correct perspective, you can get motivated just to be in the middle path, not to react. Any kind of a reaction is defiling yourself. So while you are meditating specifically, leave them aside and see possibilities, how to keep the mind here now I am kind of thing. And when and where you get the chance or at the outside, you may do as you like, as your will, as your mind says. But first and foremost, try to keep the mind calm and quiet. Heal it, and then your healed mind, your mindful mind itself is a silent sermon. It itself is a peacemaker. You can compensate by doing nothing. Even the whole world is doing wrong things. So this is the way Buddha, appearance of the Buddha itself is a blessing. Because he is not reacting, but he is doing his task vehemently. Be mindful here and now. So therefore, going to look at the society at large, we will get worked up. So try to be mindful. Think it is, I will suggest it is not selfish. By being mindful, you are emitting kind of a good vibration. In American jargon, it calls good vibes. So this is also answering this kind of questions.
The final written question for the day. To follow up on the question asked by another person about how to tell which tradition in Buddhism is worth pursuing, because many traditions say different things. If two sects of or traditions of Buddhism say contradictory and even opposite things, both cannot be logically correct, or on that issue at least. When certain sects say things that are already false or misrepresentative of Buddhism, it can mislead and hurt those who are not aware or confused about what Buddhism says. When certain views seem clearly false or misrepresentative of Buddhism to me, such as it's okay for some monks to be incelibate or that killing, lying or harm is okay and allowed in certain situations or circumstances. How can one firmly and politely disagree without making others feel bad? I often shy away from confrontation to keep peace and be agreeable. But in maintaining silence, those who misrepresent Buddhism continue to mislead those who are interested in Buddhism, hurting the people that they mislead Buddhism. And above all, they hurt themselves and accumulate much demerits. How can one have discussions about sensitive topics of which parts and sects and traditions of Buddhism are false and true in a way that is helpful, constructive, and doesn't make others feel bad, that is compassionate?
So, two remarks. One thing is the Buddha says, anyone says, idameva saccam mogamanyam, this is the truth, rest everything is wrong, don't associate that person. He is wrong. So this is one thing. And the second thing is, just don't be the silence whenever the other people are doing wrong thing and you notice. Be mindful. You have a task. You are just not passively being. You make sure you are mindful amidst of all kind of mishaps. So that is the way you make the moment, make the thought moment constructive. You keep your mind there in the particular primary object and make sure. So that is a kind of a constructive thing, not passive. It is called ajnanupekha, just the passive, the equanimity. No, you are actively participate. It's very vigilant to keep the mind in the present moment. It's like tightrope walking. So therefore you are not idling. You are doing something. So these are the two remarks I can make towards that. Okay, we have taken 20 minutes more than the due time. But anyway, traditionally I would ask if there is any other questions before closing the event, closing the session. Yes?
You said that when your teacher died at night, by the morning, everything was kind of clarified on the karma and on the path. But from my personal experience, when my father died, I grieved for years. And the same thing happened when my dog died. I mean, I think I grieved more for the dog than I did for my father. Knowing about karma and reincarnation,
So is a statement or a question?
No, the question is, what do you suggest for the future in case, again, someone close to me dies, which of course it will happen? How do I follow your example where I just kind of take it, this is the truth, and not suffer? Because I suffered for years. I cried. I had to go to therapy. I mean, it was like...
So I am not a good role model. When my father died, I suffered about 1 year, and later it made me a monk. And when my mother died, I thought not to go to the funeral, but I went there, and I felt the lump, and I managed some or the other. And then my teacher died, and there it became a little minor thing. And day by day I find that at the beginning I was so emotional. I was getting fainted and again into consciousness, again fainting, again consciousness. So much I was with my father. My father is a very tough fellow. He used to hit me like anything. But anyway, that was the first thing I experienced the death in my life. And everyone thought that I will go mad. But later someone told me, please come, and there's one person talking about this kind of thing. You are died. You are worrying because you lose something. I feel so irritated. You suffer long because you lost something. Your part and parcel also taken away. But if you keep them with the normal connection, even the death or their promotion or kind of thing, you know how to ride the wave, how to be on the ball. So it is a matter of time. But definitely when you are dying, you will not cry. Understand?
So in the part of the meditation instruction is to just observe, and you said not to interfere by using your own volition. One thing I was wondering about is just the process of observing, is there volition involved? Like, for example, if I were to think, observe, because sometimes if I get distracted, there seems to be a little bit of like an effort to observe. So I'm wondering, is there volition a part of?
So that specifically very dramatic when you are noting. While you are in the breath, if you wish to keep the breath in mind, breath in view, you notice in breath, out breath, in breath. It's a volitional act, not like just directing. So it is to narrow down your focus, to forget about the rest, you focus. And imagine after a while you learn the art, let the breath happen in effortless way. When the effortless way happens, that also going slowly, mind naturally season to that. And there are no volitional activity. Of course they are, but it's reduced. So you see big volition replaced by the small volition. And that will be replaced by still little volition. And that is how it happens, a chain action, in replacing one by the other.
Normally I wouldn't cross-talk with other members of the Sangha, but in the spirit of sharing, all of us suffer. I don't remember where it is in the suttas, but the Buddha is approached by a mother who lost her baby. And he says, and you'll probably be able to remember where it is. No, never mind then. But if it gives you any solace, everyone suffers the same to a certain degree or another when there's a loss of a dear one, whether that be a cat, dog, parakeet. It's at least makes you human, right? And a quick thing, someone yesterday asked a question about. There was a wonderful book written about a woman who was a teacher, and it's called Dhamma. And I would recommend it to anyone, male or female, but especially any woman who's gone through many years of psychological abuse in the marital home, whatever. Very inspirational, and I wish I had been older and able to study with Dhamma, but so it is.
So that I see that relationship with Dhamma and Joseph Goldstein, and Joseph Goldstein accompanied the Dhamma, and says it's a lump of loving kindness, embracing everyone, and no much of attraction with anyone. And the presence of the Dhamma is so fulfilling. It's an Indian origin, and Joseph Goldstein is American, but both of them have the same vibration, loving kindness.
Not to talk about
I have a quick follow-up question to the one that I asked before. You said that in the beginning there will be a lot more volition, and then once you sort of pick up, then it'll become more effortless. There'll still be a little bit of effort, but related to that, sometimes I wonder when I'm sitting, especially in the earlier few days of the retreat, sometimes when we're meditating, it's supposed to be like peaceful and calm and effortless, but I found that if I was not putting in effort, I would get very distracted, and especially in the beginning, and anytime I'm getting distracted, sometimes if I'm very aggressive and proactive about being with the meditation object, that seems to so it's almost like a hill, and then when it evens out, then it becomes effortless. But during that process, sometimes I'm wondering, is it normal to have to put it, because it's not just a little bit of effort, it's usually like a lot of effort. But then sometimes I also wonder, meditation is supposed to be peaceful, so then I'm wondering if I'm doing something wrong, but then part of me also thinks this is a part of that process.
So in economy, you have the S-shaped curve. At the beginning, it catches the momentum very slowly. For the marginal revenue, the marginal cost of the marginal revenue is minimal. And when it catches the momentum, you have to really be on the ball. You have to really be at the... And then once catch the momentum, you can relax and you can have the B team and the administrators and kind of thing. Everything in the world is like that. So beginning is painfully slow. So you have to understand it. By the time you understand, I've already taken 2-3 retreats. And how to teach it? Because everyone is behind results. So you have to understand, apply this thing. And at the beginning, the gathering the momentum very slow. It is not only in meditation, even in agriculture, even in industry, even in economies, a shape curve. Okay, anyway, now it's half an hour overtime. So we have 30 minutes for walking meditation and we'll be gathering here again at 4 o'clock for a sitting. So thank you very much for the participation. Sadhu, sadhu.